Hi Sword Nerds, this is Prev. I wanted to talk to you today about an equipment review. I haven't done a ton of these and they're never particularly in depth, but I think of anything that a HEMAist can do, offering some insight into potential equipment purchases is one of the better things. So, today I'm going to be talking about the Castille Armory Economy Dueling Saber. This isn't by any means a rare saber, so I expect a lot of people will have had a lot of experience with it, but just in case you haven't and you need someone to tell you something about it, I am hoping I can help you guys out. So, first of all, this is the Saber in its 20 millimeter ricasso. So they have two versions of the blade, a 16 and 20 millimeter here just above the bowl. Having used both of them, there's a couple in my club. The 16 is a little bit faster and it is a little bit less authoritative in the bind, but at least for me, the way I fence, I don't think it is a substantial difference. Certainly not something that would, were I to, for instance, encounter on the secondhand market, that I would shy away from one in favor of the other super strongly. I think they're both solid options, and you can't really go wrong there. So they are in Castille style, very workmanlike. They are not covered in beautiful cutouts or filigree, and I think that's perfect for a tool that I'm going to use hopefully many times a week for hopefully quite a while to hit my friends with. Let's talk about the advantages. So one of the things that is cool about how Castille handles all of their weapons, so far as I can tell, is everything is designed to be modular. Meaning, with the quick loosening of a nut bolt, it threads onto the tang, so I suppose it's a nut. And the tang is the screw in this circumstance. I'm sure there will be someone who's incredibly knowledgeable that can tell me exactly the way in which I am butchering the appropriate nomenclature, etc., etc. So, like that, the blade comes apart. You can see the threaded portion, how that is mounted to the blade. So the nice thing about this is Castille sells their blades, and so far as I can tell, everything that they make ships in a reasonable amount of time. So, if I broke this, or if I broke this, say I was being a silly goose and I decided to fence mixed weapons against someone with a longsword, which is a terrible plan, but I'm sure folks are going to do it. This is a reasonably sturdy guard. I don't have complaints against a variety of sabers. I fence against some Kriegers. I fence against some VBs, some Reginiers, a variety. Totally serviceable against those. As soon as you put a sword in two hands, the force starts climbing like mad, and I could imagine this getting beat up. So, if this were to get all bent up somehow, I can buy a guard. This is a replacement grip that they offer. So, we have what appears to be machined aluminum with an insert of a 3D printed plastic. some people will complain about this in terms of manufacturing. They think that they are deserving of a more artisanal sort of grip. My argument is almost all of this is made probably with some sort of CNC. 3D printing is literally uses G-code from CNC tools, so I don't have any problem with it at all. It seems like a great idea to me. One of the advantages principally being this is a part. This is their back strap, and they can mate it with inserts of a variety of shapes. I only have the one to show you here, but if you prefer a swell under your lead fingers, if you prefer a swell under your pinky, if you prefer it to be flush with no swell at all, it's just a little piece of plastic, inexpensive for them to make, quick for them to make, and totally functional. I should probably talk about how long I've been using this. I'm a very recent practitioner of Saber, so I think in total we're talking spring of this year, so maybe March or April is how long I've been fencing Saber, at least regularly. It might be a little bit before then. As I recall, I picked this up on their Black Friday sale last Black Friday, and even with the craziness of Black Friday and Christmas and everything, I still received it, I believe, in January, like January 4th or 8th or something like that, the first week or two of January. And I think for anything, if you've bought very much equipment in HEMA, you know to expect to wait months and months and months and months. And I think for their busiest time of the year, to only wait a month and a half or so is spectacular. That is maybe the second best thing I like about Castille stuff. I think everything they do is serviceable. It's not the most beautiful, but this is sports equipment that I expect at some point to break. I love the modularity. I love the response time. I love the breadth of options. So, before I put it together, we'll look at it in its pieces, and you can tell me for once or twice a week, for 2 or so hours at a time, so say about 4 hours worth of practice a week, since spring of this year, we're, in late summer now, against a variety of swords. This is how the blade is held up. This is my first blade. Obviously, nothing I would be remotely concerned about on the blade at this point. This is how the guard looks. It is clearly been used, but there's nothing about this that I might dress this edge a bit at this point. It's starting to get a couple sharp burrs on it, but nothing that prompts me to retire this bowl anytime soon. And admittedly, the grip was a gift from a friend of mine, so this is not as old as the sword in total, but you can see it's got some scratches on it, probably mostly from rattling around in my bag with long swords and bucklers and gloves and who knows what else. So, let's see. What we'll do is I'll show you me reassembling it, because I think that might be somewhat interesting. You just drop that guy on there. You remember which way your hand goes. You put this through the slot in your grip. There you go. That's all assembled there. Get this nut back on. So, obviously that's quite quick, right? My intention is before long, and especially as I start going out into competing in Saber, well, it's still a little bit loose, especially as I intend to go out and start competing in Saber, I intend to ideally go with a spare blade, maybe a spare bowl. I don't expect the bowl will get damaged, but I think having it won't hurt me, and the same with the blade. And should something happen, should there be a dramatic equipment failure of it, it's that quick, and I'm back in the game. We don't even have to stop my pool, probably. So I think that's pretty amazing. In terms of how it feels, I mean, it's a Saber, so it wants to chop. That's, ideal, I think. That's exactly what you want. But it is light enough that wrist disengages I don't find difficult. Hitting those wrist Milanese is pretty easy. I'm trying to do Arlo's Saber, which sort of feeds out of Redeli's Saber, so I really should be using my elbow more than my wrist, but Arlo conveniently gives me an out that says I can do whatever I want in sparring, so I apply that liberally. For the price, for the utility, for the customer service, for the rapidity of use, or rapidity of delivery, I highly recommend it. I could not imagine being much happier with another Saber. Again, having handled 4 or 5 different models of friends of mine in the club, none of them feel so much better that I don't think for a practical first-time competitor, a first-time Saber buyer, or for a practical competitor, that there is any reason not to like this. If you're considering it, I would pull the trigger on that. Like I said, I'm essentially going to buy another one so that when I compete with it, I don't have to worry about parts breakage, and I can just get back in the game like a NASCAR pit stop. So I hope that was helpful for folks. If you have any other questions, leave a comment, and I am happy to answer them. Again, I'm Prev. Have fun getting in sword fights.